Hello everyone and welcome to my presentation on the economic relations of Southeast Asia and China. First, just a few words about me. My name is Lucas and I'm a political science and economics major. I'm here this semester as an exchange student from Germany. For the semester, I decided to look at the economic relations between China and ASEAN. I find this interesting because China's economic ties are usually discussed in the context of the United States or Europe, while its relationship to Southeast Asia often receives less attention. Since ASEAN, the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, represents the region as a political and economic community, I will use the term ASEAN when I refer to Southeast Asia in this presentation. Both the Chinese and ASEAN markets have grown a lot in recent years, so I thought it would be valuable to learn more about how these two sides interact economically. The question I want to look at in this presentation is: how did the liberalization of the Chinese and ASEAN markets since the 1990s affect the economic relations between China and ASEAN? Let's first clarify what ASEAN is. The Association of Southeast Asian Nations was established in 1967 to safeguard political security in Southeast Asia. It comprises 10 member countries: Singapore, Cambodia, Myanmar, Vietnam, Brunei, Indonesia, Laos, Thailand, Malaysia, and the Philippines. While its original mission focused on political security, today ASEAN's cooperation has expanded into multiple fields, for example by strengthening economic integration among its members. Liberalization of the Chinese and ASEAN markets since the 1990s has initiated significant economic growth between the two regions. In 2000, the value of trade goods was around $32.2 billion US, and by 2009 it had already reached $178.2 billion. One of the main factors behind this rapid economic growth has been the multiple economic agreements between China and ASEAN, which have helped to facilitate trade and strengthen the economic relations. On the following slides, I will go into more detail about the specific agreements in the following order. First, the Belt and Road Initiative, then the ASEAN Economic Community, followed by the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area, and finally, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, and I explain how each has contributed to the strong economic partnership we see today. Let's first look at the Belt and Road Initiative. This is China's strategy to strengthen connectivity with over 100 countries through sea and land routes by investing in their infrastructure. The initiative focuses on 5 main areas: policy, trade and financial services, infrastructure, and cooperation among people of different countries. In terms of infrastructure, China prioritizes transportation, communication, and energy. Through the initiative, China aims to facilitate trade by reducing investment barriers, creating free trade zones, and improving production and labor distribution across the region. However, ASEAN countries face the risk of being marginalized, as many citizens perceive a lack of transparency and potential corruption in some Belt and Road Initiative projects. Despite these concerns, the Belt and Road Initiative has created opportunities for cooperation with ASEAN, especially in aligning with the ASEAN Economic Community goals to strengthen regional competitiveness. Still, public trust is low. 63.6% of the ASEAN citizens have little or no trust in the Belt and Road Initiative, and 38.2% see China as a revisionist power to extend its influence in Southeast Asia. Let's now turn to the ASEAN Economic Community, or AEC. The AEC is one of the 3 pillars of ASEAN and was established in 2015. Its main goal is to enhance ASEAN's capacity to compete in global value chains by increasing the free movement of goods, capital, and labor, and by strengthening cooperation among its member countries. The AEC has influenced ASEAN-China relations positively, as China has tried to align its Belt and Road Initiative with the AEC to promote common economic growth. The AEC has also had positive effects on agreements like the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area and Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership. However, the development of the AEC faces challenges, such as limited financial resources, outdated infrastructure, and obsolete technology in some ASEAN countries. Despite these obstacles, the AEC provides ASEAN with the opportunity to maintain its centrality in regional cooperation, with China supporting this goal through active participation in regional forums and negotiations. At the same time, ASEAN and China remain competitors in other global markets. due to structural similarities like low-cost labor and resource advantages, which can pose challenges for the economic collaboration. Let's now look at the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area. The idea for the Free Trade Area emerged in 2001, and in 2002, the Comprehensive Economic Cooperation Framework Agreement was signed, serving as the basis for the Free Trade Area. China was the first country to start negotiations over an FTA with ASEAN, and over the following years, both sides signed multiple agreements covering more and more aspects of their trade relations. Since 2010, more than 90% of goods traded between China and 6 ASEAN countries, Indonesia, the Philippines, Thailand, Brunei, Malaysia, and Singapore, have been tariff-free. The remaining ASEAN countries, Laos, Vietnam, Myanmar, and Cambodia, joined later to complete and strengthen the Free Trade Agreement by 2015. By June 2020, 7,000 products could be traded without tariffs, and over 90% of all products were tariff-free. In 2018, China and ASEAN published the China-ASEAN Strategic Partnership Vision 2030, outlining opportunities to expand investment, tourism, trade, technology innovation, digital economy, telecommunication, smart city, maritime cooperation, and production capacity. Despite these opportunities, some ASEAN stakeholders remain concerned about the trade imbalance created by liberalization, as China's exports to ASEAN grew to a significant surplus. This imbalance is seen as a potential challenge to building a sustainable and balanced economic collaboration. Building on the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area, the Regional Comprehensive Economic Partnership, or RCEP, can be seen as an upgrade of the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area. It includes China, Japan, South Korea, Australia, New Zealand, and the ASEAN countries, and was signed in 2020 after promotion by China. Its main goal is to combine all ASEAN free trade agreements into one comprehensive framework and to further liberalize trade and investment. Compared to the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area, RCEP is more comprehensive, covering trade in goods and services, investment, intellectual property, economic and technical cooperation, and competition. However, it also brings some challenges. RCEP is specifically designed for trade with China, which can make trading with other countries more complicated. And ASEAN countries with less developed manufacturing industries benefit less. At the same time, RCEP creates important opportunities. By combining low-cost labor in ASEAN with China's industrial development, it enhances industrial trade from China to ASEAN and supports transformation of ASEAN's manufacturing sector. If aligned with the Belt and Road Initiative, RCEP, and the Belt and Road Initiative can complement each other. The Belt and Road Initiative develops infrastructure, while RCEP reduces trade barriers, further strengthening regional economic cooperation. Now let's look at the trading volume between China and ASEAN. Between 2000 and 2018, China's exports to ASEAN countries grew from $22.7 billion to $294.8 billion, while China's imports from ASEAN increased from $16.9 billion to $202.7 billion. This led to a growing trading surplus for China, which rose from $5.7 billion to $92 billion during the same time period, showing that China has benefited more from the free trade area than the ASEAN countries. Today, China is ASEAN's largest trading partner, accounting for 13.94% of ASEAN's total trade. While ASEAN is China's third largest trading partner after the US and the EU, China focuses its trade on the largest ASEAN economies: Malaysia, Thailand, Vietnam, Indonesia, and Singapore. The main traded goods are high and medium technology products, reflecting the positive development in production capacity in these sectors. Overall, the growth in trade volume between China and ASEAN was strongly influenced by the China-ASEAN Free Trade Area, which facilitated trade reductions and strengthened economic ties between the two regions. Now let's look at the foreign direct investments between China and ASEAN. Over the past 20 years, China has received more foreign direct investments than ASEAN. However, low wages, geographic proximity, resources, and market size have made ASEAN increasingly attractive, and some Chinese companies have moved their production to ASEAN countries. China's FDI in ASEAN grew from $0.3 billion in 2006 to $15.5 billion in 2022, while ASEAN's investment in China increased more modestly from $3.4 billion to $7.6 billion. The China-ASEAN Free Trade Area also helped by reducing tariffs and trade barriers, making investments along the supply chain more attractive for both sides. To sum up, several economic agreements have aimed to strengthen the economic relationship between China and the ASEAN countries in Southeast Asia. Yet, while ASEAN continues to rely heavily on low-tech production, China is moving further ahead in high-tech industries. This creates an uneven dynamic. China is now ASEAN's largest trading partner, while ASEAN is only China's third largest. Alongside the benefits, there are also concerns. Many people in ASEAN countries fear that trade imbalances and China's technological lead could increasingly marginalize ASEAN within the regional economy. These are the references I used for this presentation. Thank you all for listening and for your attention. I hope this gave you a clear overview of how the economic agreements between China and ASEAN have developed, as well as the opportunities and challenges that come with them.